Mr. Guan flew down from the tree, and as soon as he landed, he took out the tool pliers while no one was prepared. He then asked why the two sides were fighting. The buck-toothed man who acted together immediately said that it was because these bullies always bullied them in the company and robbed them of their wages. The buck-toothed man was about to start after he finished speaking. Mr. Guan immediately stopped him. The bully was scared away by Mr. Guan's kung fu. They went back to the company's executives for help. However, the supervisor was not convinced. At this moment, Mr. Guan chased after the company, and he immediately showed a very powerful kung fu. The supervisor was terrified. However, he was afraid, and the supervisor was still unwilling to return the employees' wages, but he was willing to use money to eliminate the disaster. As long as Mr. Guan doesn't care about this matter, he can give Mr. Guan a lot of money. Mr. Guan was moved and wanted to accept the money. The buck-toothed man hurriedly urged him to go up and fight. Mr. Guan repeated his old trick this time, beating his own people violently. The other party was really scared again. The supervisor had no choice but to promise to return the wages of the workers. Everyone is very happy. Afterwards, the supervisor reported the matter to the boss. The boss didn't want to agree at first, but he reluctantly agreed when he thought that there are many kung fu masters in Shaolin Temple. But the boss has a request to let Mr. Guan show his kung fu. Mr. Guan also wanted to pretend that he knew kung fu, but he didn't expect that the boss of the other party could also do kung fu. The companions cooperated with the performance again. Mr. Guan jumped from a high place and accidentally fell to the ground. The boss became suspicious when he saw it, and he immediately tested Mr. Guan. Mr. Guan's scheme was seen through in a few clicks. This is a terrible situation. Mr. Guan was beaten like a dog. The companion wants to help, but the bullies in the company are not easy to mess with, and ordinary people are no match. Everyone was beaten with injuries all over their bodies, and they all blamed Mr. Guan for not acting well. It turns out that this Mr. Guan is actually Jack pretending to be. Jack was ridiculed by everyone and his self-esteem was violated, so he decided to go to Shaolin to learn real kung fu. One day when Jack was on his way, he saw a group of monks working from a distance. Their moves seemed to be practicing kung fu. Jack leaned forward curiously, and the old monk regarded him as one of his own. But Jack was soon exposed, so he immediately pretended to be an eminent monk in northern Shaolin. But the old monk had seen a lot, so how could he trust Jack? In order to join the Shaolin Temple, Jack thought of an insidious way. He put the laxative into the tea, and then pretended to be a businessman to sell the tea. Soon, a unlucky guy came. He picked up the bowl and drank it. If one bowl was not enough, he would have another bowl. After drinking, he continued to bear the burden. On the way, the medicine took effect, and the unlucky guy hurried to find a place to solve it. Jack immediately went forward to snatch the food basket, which was his trick to get into Shaolin. Jack followed the monk all the way to Shaolin Temple. The security guard at the gate saw him walking crookedly, so he asked Jack, "Which department of Shaolin Temple are you from?" It's funny, there is no kitchen department in Shaolin Temple. Jack of course failed this time. On the way back, Jack heard a passerby talking, and learned that Shaolin Temple is looking for employees tomorrow, so he can go in and learn kung fu. So Jack quietly joined in. Unexpectedly, the first pass to enter the Shaolin Temple is very difficult. The strong passed the level smoothly, while the weak screamed again and again. Fortunately, Jack was clever enough to climb back from the fence and escape the trap. At this time, the real Shaolin monks came, and they drove away the weak and restored the trap. This scene made Jack think of a way. He pretended to come out, and lied again that he was sent by the headquarters of Shaolin Temple to investigate, and that he also had a trick called clothes-fitting magic. What is clothes-fitting magic? It turned out that Jack was just lying on someone else's back. What a talent. The person in charge didn't expose Jack's lies, but wanted him to suffer more. The next level is burning incense, but this burning incense is not easy. The incense burner is closed, and the door looks very heavy. This level is a test of finger strength. Jack couldn't do it, his fingers were almost broken and he couldn't open the door, so he had to say that the door was broken. The person in charge of this level also wanted to see Jack make a fool of himself, so he let him pass directly. The following is the last level. If everyone wants to pass here, they must first open the small iron gate, which does not seem to be difficult. Now Jack can only play the bastard again. Jack passed the level smoothly, and everything inside opened his eyes. Jack wanted to try, with predictable results. At this time, Mr. Guan, the boss of Shaolin Temple, came. Jack immediately knelt down and kowtowed, begging Mr. Guan to accept him. Mr. Guan saw that Jack was full of lies, and planned to test him. He asked Jack to wash his hair first, but he had to fetch water by himself. It was very painful for Jack to carry 2 buckets full of water. He tried to be lazy, but there was someone watching him, but of course he failed. Mr. Guan asked Jack to wash his hair by the well again, but he didn't give him a bucket. Jack felt that it was impossible to succeed, so Mr. Guan demonstrated it himself. Jack imitated it, but it was still too difficult to wash his hair. In the middle of the night, Jack wanted to throw the wig into the well and wash it. At this time, a ball of paper flew over, and Jack opened it to have a look. Jack understood that Mr. Guan told him to continue throwing stones, so he made up his mind and threw it from midnight to day, gradually mastering the method and quickly becoming proficient. When Jack finished washing, it was dark again, and he went to hand in his homework with pride. Unexpectedly, Mr. Guan had already seen that there was a wig on his head, so he wanted to expose it. Unexpectedly, in the past few days after Jack washed his hair, his steps have become steady and his figure is vigorous, but he was still exposed in the end. Jack was discouraged and ready to leave, but Mr. Guan asked him to stay, but he didn't accept Jack as a disciple, but asked Jack to build a bamboo shed for Shaolin Temple. It took Jack a whole year and a half to set up the bamboo shed, and he handed in his homework to Mr. Guan happily. But Mr. Guan told him to leave Shaolin Temple after tearing down the bamboo shed. This pissed Jack off, and he quarreled. Mr. Guan was also angry, and directly asked Jack to get out of Shaolin Temple now. Jack didn't want to leave. Seeing that he was disobedient, Mr. Guan wanted to teach Jack a lesson. But now Jack has become quick to react, his head is as hard as an iron block, his arm strength is amazing, and his steps are extremely steady. Obviously he has learned Kung Fu. This is actually because Jack kept imitating the Kung Fu of Shaolin monks when he was building the bamboo shed. But Mr. Guan still put on a straight face and insisted on letting Jack leave, because he knew that Jack had already completed his studies, and there would be no improvement if he stayed. But Jack himself didn't realize that he went home sad. At this time, Jack's friends were bullied by the bullies in the company, and all of them lost their jobs. When everyone saw Jack coming back, they all surrounded him. They thought that Jack had learned Kung Fu and came back to take revenge. Jack desperately explained that he didn't learn Kung Fu in Shaolin Temple, but just built a bamboo shed there. But everyone didn't believe it, because Jack accidentally showed Kung Fu. Everyone found Jack again and forced him to make a move. Seeing Jack's mighty attack, everyone cheered. Jack also fully awakened, from a weakling to a hero. Jack puts on his cassock again and finds the corporate bully. Seeing that it was Jack, the bullies were very disdainful. But soon, they regret their decision. Although the bullies are numerous and powerful, they are no match for Jack. Soon, the boss of the company who got the news arrived. Jack immediately led the boss to a construction site, and he wanted to meet the enemy in the most familiar environment. The battle was fierce, and the boss's men tried their best. Jack couldn't beat them, so he could only pretend to escape and lead them into a trap. Come to the bamboo shed. This is Jack's last battle. At this time, Jack only had a few opponents left, and the more he fought,